Welcome in everybody to the final video in my 12-part rookie profile series. Today, we're moving away from the running back and the wide receiver position, and we're going to be talking about my rookie tight end one, my 112 in one quarterback leagues, 2.03 in superflex leagues, and that's Notre Dame tight end Michael Mayer. Looking at Mayer's college career, he immediately vied for the top target as a freshman in 2020, catching 42 passes for 450 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, as a freshman tight end, already being a top target for the team over other upperclassmen is extremely impressive. He then followed that up in 2021 as the top target for Notre Dame, hauling in 71 passes for 840 yards and 7 touchdowns. No other receiver on the team had more than 50 receptions, and he himself was over 70, again, as a sophomore tight end. And then in 2022, as a junior, just more of the same, 809 yards and 9 touchdowns on 67 receptions. In fact, this season was a record-setting year for Mayer as he set Notre Dame records for career receptions, yards, and touchdowns by a tight end, as well as a single season record for touchdowns by a tight end, and was named a consensus All-American, the first Notre Dame tight end to do so since 1976. So usually at this point in the video, I talk about my marker system for prospects that are a series of baselines that I want players to hit based on what previously successful players in the NFL had coming out of college. However, I don't have markers for the tight end position, honestly, because the position as a whole is just a crapshoot for who really succeeds at the NFL level for fantasy. There's so much more going on for the tight end position that you can be a very good tight end in the NFL, but that doesn't necessarily translate to fantasy football. Think of guys like Josh Oliver, who is an excellent run blocker and a perfect fit for that Ravens offensive scheme, but he doesn't catch passes, so he's not good for fantasy, but he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL right now for the skill set that he does have. Conversely, a lot of the main signals for tight ends producing for fantasy are things like size, speed, overall athleticism, but just because players have all of those traits, that still doesn't mean that they're going to be good tight ends. Think of guys like Albert Okwuegbunam, OJ Howard, Jonnu Smith, all these hyper athletic guys who were productive in college as well, but they just haven't done anything for us for fantasy. So it's really hard to nail down a good system of evaluating tight ends because the position as a whole is just so widely variable in terms of what the NFL wants from these guys. Before continuing though, I wanted to mention that if you like this content and want to support what we're doing on this channel, please consider joining our YouTube memberships where you will gain access to additional videos every single month, including a bank of 7 videos that you can watch already. Plus, we will be starting exclusive live streams when we have enough members, and I just posted a link to a Google Sheet that houses all of the data that I'm looking at for my marker system, everything that you want for running backs and wide receivers. It's all in that Google Sheet. So if you want access to all of that, check out the link in the description down below, join the bonus content tier, and thank you guys for checking it out. With all that being said though, looking at Mayers' profile, he does fit in with a lot of what other great fantasy tight ends also had. He has a good size at 6'4", 250 pounds. He did run a 4.7 40, which, yeah, I mean, isn't like super ideal, but it's not bad either. I mean, Rob Gronkowski ran a 4.68. Perfectly fine. That's also not Myers' game either. So like if an NFL team is drafting Mayer to run verticals, that's a major misuse of his talent. But where his athleticism really shines is in the agility drills, as he posted a 4.31 shuttle and a 6.97 3-cone, both of which show the lateral quickness and agility that is very apparent on tape. And speaking of tape, it's just very obvious that Mayer has all of the skills and traits needed to be a great fantasy tight end when you actually watch him. No, it's not flashy, but he gets the job done. Actually, more than gets the job done, as shown by his record-setting career in college. And to be honest, it might be a good thing that he's not flashy. Think about all of those hyper-athletic tight ends that we've chased over the last few years. OJ Howard, Jonnu Smith, Irv Smith, Albert O, Gerald Everett, Hayden Hurst, Noah Fant, all busts for basically their entire careers for fantasy. And then you have guys like Mike Gesicki, David Njoku, Evan Ingram, Eric Ebron, all had moments in their careers, but they just never put anything together consistently. And all but Njoku are or were on different teams than were drafted by at the NFL level. We're hoping that guys like Cole Kmet, Trey McBride, Chico Konkwu, Jelani Woods, Greg Dulcich, we're hoping that they all take that next step into consistent production, which they may or may not do. The jury is still out, but that just shows that a lot of these really hyper athletic tight ends are not necessarily very successful at the NFL level. Look at all the tight ends who have hit and have hit big for fantasy football. Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, Greg Olsen, Delaney Walker. Most recently, we're getting guys like Dallas Goedert and TJ Hawkinson. All these guys, yes, are very good athletes, but they're not over the top and completely reliant on that athleticism to win. Jimmy Graham was very athletic. Vernon Davis also was very athletic. George Kittle is very athletic. But for the most part, the tight ends who really succeeded for fantasy were the ones that could do it all and had plus athleticism and receiving ability, which is exactly what Michael Mayer is. In fact, I didn't even mention the main comp that Michael Mayer gets all the time, which is Jason Witten, who had 15 top 12 seasons for fantasy football. That is over double the number of top 12 seasons as Jimmy Graham, Greg Olsen, and Zach Ertz, and 6 more top 12 seasons than Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelce. But when I see people comp Michael Mayer to Jason Witten, it almost feels kind of like a negative. Like that's the most bland and vanilla player that you could have come up with for a comp for Michael Mayer. But guess what? That bland and vanilla comp is a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time at the position, 4 1,000-yard seasons, 3 more over 900 yards, 9 100 targets plus seasons, 2 of which were over 140, 11-time Pro Bowler, and like I said, 15 top 12 fantasy seasons. If you guaranteed me that Michael Mayer was going to give me that kind of production, that kind of career, I would draft him 1.01. I would. We're always looking for a positional advantage at the tight end position. Well, what's more of an advantage than that kind of a career and production until essentially like 2040 from a tight end? Now, to reel myself back in here, obviously we shouldn't expect a Jason Witten level career from Michael Mayer. That's like a top 1% outcome. But the point that I want to make is that Mayer is just a really, really good football player. He can do everything that you ask him to at the NFL level. He can block, he can run routes, he can get you that first down, make contested catches. Anything that you need, Michael Mayer can do it. I think a floor level outcome for him is like Heath Miller, just a super consistent, trustworthy option for any quarterback in the league in any kind of situation. And even Heath Miller had a few top 12 seasons as well. Like that's not a bad outcome for Michael Mayer. Maybe a more median outcome is what we're getting from TJ Hawkinson right now. We had flashes of greatness in his first couple of seasons, but we just wanted that little extra something to kick it into high gear for Hawkinson to turn him into another elite tight end, which didn't happen in Detroit, but we finally got in Minnesota in a better situation with more opportunity for targets. And that's really going to be the biggest difference and the biggest factor for if Mayer is just a good fantasy tight end or an elite one, is that landing spot that he goes to and the opportunity that he has for targets. If he goes to the Chargers, the Cowboys, honestly, even the Texans would be a good spot too as they grow out their offense. I would love grabbing Michael Mayer in the first round of my rookie draft with any of those landing spots for the immediate opportunity for targets and volume. I'm also curious in teams like Detroit to replace TJ Hawkinson, or even teams like Washington, Buffalo, the New York Jets would all be intriguing landing spots that I think would actually drop Michael Mayers' ADP, which would honestly make me want him even more. And there really isn't a team out there that can't or couldn't use a player like Michael Mayer. It's just for fantasy football, will he land in a place with immediate opportunity to get to a TJ Hawkinson, a Mark Andrews, and ultimately a Jason Witten level type of production for fantasy football? But if you found this video first and you missed my profile on my 111 and RB6 in this class, Tyjae Spears, then you can watch that video right up here.